All right, we are back. Coming at you live from Rubyland. I feel freer than ever now that I'm on a different account. But the K-pop world will never be the same again. And for people who've been following my content over the years, I do kind of go through phase of being like really fixated on something, whether it's a few months or a few years, but I'll be like locked in on that, whatever that thing is. And for a while, this channel was exclusively K-pop shorts. And I actually got millions and millions of views doing K-pop shorts. Not this channel, my main channel. My main channel, I mean. So, and that was during the time I was on a lot of drugs. There really wasn't much more capacity than making K-pop shorts, but I was quite prolific. I did delete almost all of them though, because it was an issue with me getting remonetized, because they look at your most popular recent content and it was all of that. So I just deleted a ton of them. I deleted like 3 million views worth of content. And you can see that because if you look at my social blade, it like dips down like a million like out of nowhere. So that's why that is. Also, yeah, Armani's been on a total rampage. So I'm sorry to hear that he's like now interfering with yet another content creator just having fans because he has a vendetta with them. So, but I'm happy to vouch for you and that he gets out it. I don't know if anyone remembers Mary Kane Olsen, but I just like, there's just this visual that stuck with me where she just has like a little, like the tomboy one, like had the hat on with the little, it's just so stupid. Anyway. All right, no, it's too stupid to keep up. I'm not gonna do this whole video like this. We need to just, let's just brush the hair. So I've been in bed, just watching stuff, doing a little research for my stream later, chilling, and we all went. I had my little sandwich, and then I saw the craziest shit that I've ever heard of. And that is, I'm not joining your K-pop cult, Ruby. Nice try. Don't worry, if things go according to plan, your timeline will be flooded with K-pop videos, whether you like it or not. Whatever. So, South Korea is fairly conservative when it comes to like LGBT issues. Like, they're conservative with even just dating. It's considered a scandal if a K-pop artist dates. And it's usually in their contracts that they're not allowed to date. And it's a huge thing. It's a very, like, different culture there. There's no, like, gay marriage. There's no, or actually, I'm not sure at this point if there's some kind of gay marriage there. But it's generally been pretty hostile to that kind of stuff. Oh God, I made a mistake subbing if that's the case. Maybe. Well, it pertains to another interest of mine, which is the transgender issue. So I wanted to use it as a vehicle to talk about that. Because when I first saw this, well, a bunch of things flashed through my mind. And the thing that I saw is the thumbnail, which is that I don't know if it's pronounced Kokona or Kasona. I've actually never said her name out loud. Kasona, but she's the main rapper in the girl group XG. XG is not technically a K-pop group because they're multinational, and I believe their company is based out of Japan. But they promote in Korea, and they did a similar trainee system that the Koreans popularized, and are very funneled to the K-pop market. So for all intents and purposes, they are a K-pop group. Most people believe that they are. But part of me is thinking maybe this is why there's more leeway, because they're not as culturally locked in with South Korea, because they're trying to be a global group, which is smart. that's what Cat's Eye's doing, and they're getting huge success. That is the way to go. Even though I think it can go two separate ways that are divergent, but also could be mutually beneficial. And that's for them to double down on like K-pop groups that are purely Korean and very rooted in the culture, while also marketing other girl groups to be global girl groups. Johnny Somali learned about South Korea's conservative nature the hard way. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, it's very different. And they also they really prioritize like innocence, and I don't know. It's just very different. And it's more like socially acceptable to like cute things and be cutesy. Well into adulthood, I believe it's called Aegyo. And I ain't talking to thoughts on the Armani gamer fight. Well, in North Korea, strict as hell, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's very, very, very different culture. And so I see this headline that the main rapper for the girl group XG has come out as trans masculine. And for a while, she stood out for having a shaved head, which she did, I thought, more as like a publicity thing, to be like a girl group with one member who has a shaved head, like, and she rocked it because she's beautiful and she's an awesome rapper, or rather, I don't know. Man. I have such mixed feelings on like what to do when it comes like respecting people's pronouns, like, because I really never want to hurt someone, but at the same time I also don't want to hurt someone by reinforcing something that isn't true. But at the same time, like, I believe that people have the right to modify their bodies and to go by different names, like, and express themselves however they want, you know? So they feel more comfortable in the masculine format. They were debuted like this. That's her. If I'm going to respect the pronouns, it's going to take a second. I just found out, okay? Don't crucify me if anyone watches this but my 12 people. I am Fiza. It's my birthday. Oh, happy birthday. So this is her debuting a few years ago. And they've always been a group that did push the limits in regards to their fashion, their rapping. They're pretty out there. And they're all like the dancing and rapping of that group and singing, they're incredibly talented, like psychotically talented people. And that's what happens when you literally like scout the world for the brightest, best, and most beautiful, talented people. So she felt apparently more comfortable in this format. I really thought it was for I just thought it was just for that comeback, as they call it. In K-pop, they call every release of like a song a comeback. So it's not necessarily used in the same way like Americans use it colloquially. Devoid, oh wow, that's a hell of a fashion statement with a shaved head. Yeah, but it's like, she does work it. Like, they do really out there fashion. She looks cool as fuck, honestly. So there's multiple levels of me processing this, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And this is the headline there. I just saw this. And it's right up my alley because I've been obsessed with trans stuff ever since I was super involved. I played in a lot of bands with trans people. My ex was trans. It was just very much a part of my subculture and community for a long time. And that was my first divergence with the left, was around trans issues. And I became like obsessed with it because I was like, why am I perceiving this differently? Why am I struggling? Why does this feel wrong? Why, I just internalized that and did a ton of research to try to figure out am I just a bad person if I push back on this, Pronouns take me a while too. Yeah, and usually, I'm used to being around trans people, so I can adapt somewhat quickly. even just in general speech, I use they often. I just kind of was programmed that way. Like I just still use it. What else was I saying? So what was interesting here was it didn't say that she comes out as a trans man. Okay, so trans masculine is a little more ambiguous. So someone who says they're trans masculine might not take medical steps or even like super like make a lot of steps to their appearance. You know, they might be more fluid. And the same goes for like trans feminine. It's just a little looser of a term than saying like I am wanting to be the other sex. It's more like I feel comfortable this way in this direction, but there's space for like wiggling. So that's what my first thoughts is, either like, okay, I guess that's like on brand, like it's pushing the edges, it's gonna get them clicks and looks like people are gonna look at it. But also the tide has turned quite a bit in the West on the trans issue. It's gotten to a more reasonable equilibrium, although there has been an excessive backlash, shaming, those things. It's like, I think you should always respect the human and see them as a beautiful child of God, regardless of what status they're at in their own journey. I think it's, people are more likely to hear the truth if it's not like said in a way that dehumanizes them and is coming from like a place of actual concern for their well-being and for the well-being of others. So yeah. And then I also thought, like, if this isn't like for real, I just put lipstick on my. If this also could just be a cold-blooded marketing ploy, which is smart, that will get. Because, yeah, that's not as crazy in, like, America. Celebrities do that all the time. Demi Lovato's come out as, like, 8 genders. Like, same with Miley Cyrus. That's kind of passe. Okay? Chat rat. Chat rats are welcome here, okay? So then I was like, okay. And to the chat rats right now, all 9 of you, I'm about to drop a nuclear bomb. So I'm thinking like, okay, she was like playing around with gender, like that's kind of on brand for them. I don't know why self-expression has to be coded in gender, which is affiliated strongly with sex, which is an immutable characteristic. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, this could just be a cold-blooded marketing ploy. And then I see that she's removed her breasts already. So, and she showed like her scars and everything. And like I said, I support bodily autonomy. People have the right to control their own destiny, pursue their happiness as they see fit, as long as it's not harming others. But it's tough when you see someone potentially harming themselves. Like, I don't know why removing functioning organs is part of a self-expression, but that's always been a part. Actually, that's always been a part. Like, in a lot of tribal, there's all kinds of body modifications that humans have done over time. So it's like, okay, maybe it's not the craziest thing. But I also know that there is a huge, huge wave that's only going to increase of people who are seeking services to detransition. So they're male to male, or female to male to female. And a lot of the times, the doctors that they went to transition with in the first place are like, oh shit, out of luck. Are very hostile to people detransitioning. And it's very taboo. And there was a long quoted, just utterly false statistic that there was a less than 1% rate, when that's just utterly false. If they're 18 plus, then go ahead. Seems reasonable. And I think that's fair to say that, yeah, people can do whatever they want. and I don't want to be critical of the choices that they've made. It is heartbreaking that I watch a lot of interviews of women who struggled with their identity. They struggled with eating disorders. They struggled with mental health. And they kind of use it as a vehicle to self-harm and self-destruct. And I don't know. It's doesn't always seem like it's coming from a healthy place. But also I have a cousin who is a trans guy, and he just lives as a guy, and that's that. Like, I met them a couple times. This is someone who married into the family, so I met them like a couple times before they transitioned. A couple times after, they were like super masculine lesbian, and now they're just like a regular guy, and they pass, and it's whatever. Like, I could give one fuck about that. I just want people to find a way to be happy that doesn't impair them. Because when you sterilize yourself, not to mention all the health complications from taking testosterone, your uterus atrophying to the point where if you're on testosterone long term, you have to get your uterus removed or you're putting yourself at high risk of cancer, blood clots, all kinds of stuff. I need my Diet Coke. I'm thirsty. So, yeah, I have a lot of kind of mixed thoughts on it, where it's like, ultimately, I would always want to prioritize autonomy and err on the side of autonomy and respecting people's choices. I don't know. It's also, I don't know. I just thought it was very shocking to see. I was very surprised to see that. So it's the real deal. She wants to live as a guy. And it's like, you could see it, like, she has that hard, like, she went for the hard femme look. I kind of did that. That's always been my vibe, is I am kind of more masculine in some ways, but I also am expressive, Fuck, I wish I saved the picture of her. Wait, I'll be right back. Let me just download this picture real quick so that you can see the proof. All right. So this was, I believe, how they announced it was on their Instagram. And they showed the post-operative pictures there. This lipstick is like super dry, and I've been like chronically chapped for a while. Why do you give a fuck, honestly? They are happier now, and that's what matters. Well, it's sometimes short-term happiness can lead to long-term despair. And I can speak from my own experience that I had no interest whatsoever in procreating or having kids until I was like 31. I would have happily sterilized myself. But now I'm glad I didn't. I mean, it might still be late, but I like that I still have the option. It's pretty terrifying, huge life stuff. And when you're a lot younger, you just do not understand how much you can change in a lifetime. All those statistics are false. Very few people regret it. It's something they felt their whole life. If that's the case, then I'm happy for that. And then I'm speaking for the minority of cases and expressing my concern for what I see as a huge rising number of people who are detransitioners. And it's hard to get exact stats on this because a lot of trans clinics refuse to give aftercare detransitioning services. There's really no outlet for these people, and they're often excommunicated from their trans group of friends for veering outside of the ideology and doing something that threatens them to their core. Because if they can detransition and be wrong and made a mistake that has mega health complications, when you put a bunch of roids in your system that your body's not adapted to, you have health complications. Look at Buck Angel. Okay. So, but like I said, my ex is trans. I've played in bands with trans people. I think there is a possibility that a bitch can have genuine concerns for the downstream effects that come from the excesses of this ideology, including sterilizing children, which is like, I'm pretty sure, like a human rights violation. I do not think there's any circumstance where a child can consent to being sterilized for its whole life. They say life is short, but it's also kind of fucking long, people. Okay? Like, these are... Wait, there's no sound? Tony, don't scare me. Literally, why do you care? Because I care about the well-being of others. I care about women who get raped and impregnated in all female spaces, like in the New Jersey prison where a trans inmate impregnated 2 women in jail. It matters sometimes. I care because of Leah Thompson stealing medals from Riley Gaines by having a biological clear advantage over the other swimmers. And they should be ashamed, and they probably are, and that's probably part of the fucking fetish, you know? So I care also because I've seen this impact people in my life, and sometimes I think it's more important to say a difficult truth than a sweet lie that results in long-term harm, you know? And I care because this is a public figure. I'm invested in K-pop. I'm invested in trans issues. So I'm also a fan of XG. So it's right up my alley of things to care about, honestly. But at the same time, I don't care to the extent where I'd ever shame them or like tell them they shouldn't or can't do something. But I do think it's really concerning when you're someone who has a huge amount of influence. I just don't think it works. A lot of people, they get latched onto this idea that if I just get this plastic surgery, I'll be happy. And most of the time, that's not how it plays out. And the trans medical, big business, whatever, is very invested in perpetuating that lie, because it's very profitable to get these people addicted to plastic surgery, and this idea that by perfecting their outer, that's going to somehow do anything for the inner. So, I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy to care about. I agree. Our laws are totally incoherent in that regard. Like the whole 18 thing, if we were going to be like scientific about it, it would make more sense to have someone be legally adult once their brain is done growing. That would be like a reasonable cutoff. Excuse me. Anyway, so yeah, this is XG rapper. Extremely talented. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's Kokona or Kasona, so forgive me for not knowing the pronunciation, but they did come out as transmasculine. And usually someone who's transmasculine can go by pronouns he or they. So I think they is easier for me because I've known them as a woman. Just like with my ex, I alter between calling them they and she, because this is someone who I knew and dated and was engaged to for half of a decade and have known now and stayed in contact with for multiple decades. Or not multiple, but like one and a half solid decades. I knew them one way, and it takes time to know them as another way, But I also really do want to respect people's ability to free expression, and in a way, like, I don't know, I've always been, I don't know, I wouldn't even say I'm like anti-trans or anti-LGBT. Like, I've literally had sex with a woman. I've done the gay thing, and I really I do not really see an issue with it. Except that, I don't know, I'm at a point where I see and take sex more seriously and see it as something more meaningful with more serious ramifications than I once did. 21 is the safest bet. Yeah, I think that would actually, that makes more sense than 18. I don't know. I think it makes sense to want to protect people from themselves sometimes too, though. Like when I was doing fentanyl, there's, you could say there's a segment of people who are like, it's her body, let her do what she wants. But I also, now that I'm clean and my brain isn't literally hijacked and not thinking right, I have a lot of gratitude for the people who are like, hey, I actually think it's kind of fucked that you're mutilating yourself and killing yourself. I actually have an issue with that. You know? I don't think saying you have an issue with something means you're against someone. It means you're against that thing. And people do a false equivalency so they never have to meaningfully engage with an argument that makes them uncomfortable. And that's totally fine. No one has to debate. No one has to argue, Well, there's a huge overlap of like trans and body dysmorphia. So D-Dog definitely has body dysmorphia. I mean, he got a nose job. That alone is crazy to me. Like, but whatever. Anyway, that's the breaking news. I just wanted to say that. And I'll see you guys at the Hormexer thing unless I do another random pop-up stream. If I do, it will be here on my new Schizo Streams channel. So that's that.